Oh,
Good morning. It is August 4th, 2020. It's that time, folks. Time to take a break with Drake. It feels earlier, but it's still the same time. We're going to be journeying through the book of Corinthians and learning a little bit more about what there is in the love chapter. With the love doctor, I mean America's Bible teacher, Dr. Drake Travis.
loved, love doctor, of course, dear. Yes. Wow, it is great. What is today, Aaron? Good to see you. It is August 4th. Is it 4th? August 4th
It is
today?
the 4th.
August 4th. My goodness, it just feels like the months are fleeting by, and they are. They are, and that's what Moses says in Psalm 90, Lord, teach us to number our days. And August 4th it is. Well, today we have finished 1 Corinthians 13.
Is it kind of finished, or we're still in 1 Corinthians 13?
For 4 or 5 days, we thought we were finishing 1 Corinthians 13. I'll end with this.
Amaryllis
from Sound of Music. Oh.
No. That's
Music
Music
Man.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah. Love. Yeah, well, we heard about the things that love isn't.
The thing. Are we going to be lisping through the whole show
Yes,
today?
we are.
Are we going to the ball? I don't think so.
Love isn't envious, boastful, proud, rude, self-seeking, easily angered, recording wrongs. It does not delight in evil. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. This is heart stuff that never gives up. We are to stand in the gap for each other, protect each other.
Good morning, Dan.
Mighty Dan.
The Dan.
It always protects, it always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. From protecting all the way to persevering. By the time love gets to persevering, there's some pain involved. You hear the word severe in there. Even though the sentiments are getting severe and it's painful and it's hard, and if you've had children, you've got to press through painful stuff. Ladies, you have birthed children, you have pressed through some painful stuff. And that's why you love this child so much. You know what it cost you to bring that child in, and because of that, you love it more than if their arrival was, ha ha ha, the stork has landed, here are the buttercups, and here are the...
There are some women who do not have labor pain.
Yeah.
There's very few.
Yes, and they love their children less.
Yeah, is that your theory? Oh, you're funny.
Yeah. So,
yes, we shall not despair.
And but Paul goes right into, I thought like a child, I talk like a child. That's another entire sermon. We're going to go on to 14.
Why you skip it?
Okay, I'll give the thing that tells me that I got from a neurosurgeon, a Christian neurosurgeon.
There we go. That's the guy I know.
We had, it's me. We had...
yeah, you're skipping some good parts
There
here.
was a window in our lives when we had 7 teenagers, and during that time I did a week-long rotation with a neurosurgeon I was on the mission field with a medical team, and there was a neurosurgeon, and I was so drawn to this guy. Brain surgeons freak me out. Hello, Elisa.
Good morning, friend.
Brain surgeons blow my mind, shall we say, and the things they do and know and have command of, and the things they realize that they don't know is, oh my goodness.
But that's just the way things are. The more we know, the more we realize
there is to know.
there is to know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
People call it expanded ignorance. No, it's not expanded ignorance. It's a greater awareness of what you aren't aware of, which is great wisdom. So he knew what he didn't know. And I said, what's it with the teenage mind? He says, oh, it's not there.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what? And I created this illustration. He explained to me what it was, and I created this illustration, and then he said, yes, that's it. Here's a child's mind. It's just barely connected. They have no sense of logic, perseverance. Their knowledge is rather.
But they have a really good imagination.
They have a great imagination, in which they need that because they don't have the other things that we need to function. But
as adults,
when a child is late in its childhood and it's ready to start becoming the pubescence or puberty, there you are, the more we know, the humbler we should become. Good call, Aaron. The child's mind, 11, 12, 13, it goes, whoa, the way I've been thinking isn't going to work any longer.
This is the brain's commentary of itself.
And so the brain detaches itself, and then it spends over 10 years going to this. Much stronger thinking, much more, it's an adult mind that knows how to work. And so for these 10 years, they're in junior high, they're in high school, they're in college, and they're given vehicles. They're told by the pagans, go out there and do revelry. And they do so much damage to themselves, which they should be listening to parents and not doing this stuff, but the culture has gotten so dark these last couple of generations. But it unsnaps itself, realizing that's not going to work, and then it does this. When I was a child, I thought like a child, acted like a child. But when I was a man, I put away childish things. Corinthians 14 is what we're getting to today.
Well, I just wanted to put it up there because we're in Corinthians.
Yabba haba dooba dow.
And that's a great illustration. I think that sometimes as adults, I think we forget the way that, if you don't have little people around you, you forget the way the child mind works.
Yeah, I mean, W.C. Fields was very wrong to say, I hate children.
Why in the world?
Yeah, well, he had a miserable childhood, beaten daily, and...
Well, I suppose if that was your childhood, you probably wouldn't want to go back.
So, because his parents resented him, he turned around and resented all children. It's not a good thing, because children are great memos on what really matters. Just be happy. Just giggle. Just chase butterflies. And we've got to pull away from that, or we don't live long, because pure adult only. And Jesus said, if you don't become like a child... Don't become childish, but if you don't become like a child, you will not see the kingdom of heaven. That's a heavy statement. Yeah. Hello, James.
King James.
James, you're the best.
He is the king of his domain.
So anyhow, but this love, these three remain: faith, hope, love. The greatest is love. Here's 14, 1 Corinthians 14. Follow the way of love and eagerly desire spiritual gifts, especially the gift of prophecy. These people, there were people in church that spoke in tongues. There were people in church that could testify in the Corinthian church. They could testify in this international town where all kinds of foreigners came through. They could just explain the gospel to them even though they didn't know their language. Very intriguing gift. I've met 2 people, maybe 3, who can do this. I know 2 missionaries that went to a foreign country and they landed and they just love to testify. God goes by what you want. What do you want? You get what you pray for. In customs, the local people said, where are you guys from? Oh, we're from the USA. And they said, wow, you're I forget what local language it was. It wasn't Spanish. Portuguese? Yeah. They said, I'll just make it Portuguese. I said, your Portuguese is awesome. And they were testifying to the customs agents all the way through. They were just talking. And they heard Portuguese. And they said, your Portuguese is beautiful. You're from the USA? They looked at each other. What are those little yellow things? And they just... not the Incredibles.
Oh, the Minions.
The Minions. They're never talking right. Well, they were just talking. Hello, Michael Robert.
Yeah, Michael Warren. Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. He's at the John Schneider Studios with his cowboy hat.
We're in a movie with John Schneider that comes out this fall, and so is Michael.
Yes.
So, John Schneider movie comes out this fall with Jen Gotzon and Jim Chandler.
Well, and we're gonna have one of the young actresses from that show on later this month. And hey, Graham.
Graham from England.
Graham,
it's good
long
to have you guys.
time no talkie. We were talking about you the other day. It was all good.
No, it's always good. Follow the way of. So he tells these people who've got this Corinthian gift of speaking in tongues. He says, "Oh, that's great, but make sure you're loving about it.
Yeah.
Don't go. I got the gift and you don't. Just don't ever be that way with anything." That's not encouraging. Encourage other people along. Follow the way of love and eagerly desire spiritual gifts, especially the gift of prophecy. For anyone who speaks in a tongue does not speak to men, but to God. Indeed, no one understands him. He utters mysteries with his spirit, but everyone who prophesies speaks to men for their strengthening, encouragement, and comfort. We strengthen each other in body. We encourage each other so that they have a strong heart. And core. C-O-U-R. It's kind of Frenchish, Latino, Indo-Europe language. And core is the heart. When you put strength in their heart, you encourage them.
You fortify their heart.
So you strengthen their body, you encourage their heart, and you comfort their spirit. Soldiers need comfort, and their spirit returns to continue the battle. And you strengthen people, encourage people, comfort people. You know, people think comfort is, a warm blanket curled up in a cove on a rainy day with a book and a little thing of cocoa and your puppies nearby.
Marshmallows.
Yeah, that isn't comfort.
Except Drake doesn't like marshmallows.
And we call it a comforter. This is true. They call it a comforter.
Like a big blankie.
Yeah, that's a misnomer. It's a cushy. It's a cushioner. It cushions you. To join someone and to strengthen them is to you come with them like a company, co-worker. You co-fort them. Hear the word fortify?
Oh, fortification.
Yeah, a fort is a stronghold. You join them and you fort them. Co-fort. And we just put the M in there because that's how English works. We economize our toes. So we don't say we comfort you, we comfort you. We
shall fortify you again.
Yes, it's much stronger than it sounds. So we should strengthen each other, encourage each other, and comfort each other in body, heart, and spirit. Speak what you truly perceive God is doing. That's what prophecy is. What you really think God is doing. Hey, I really see God using you in a similar way. I could look back on my own childhood, and there were 3 or 4 things when someone in our church said, Drake, I can really see you. And they prophesied to me.
Really? Did you write them down?
I know who they are.
Really?
I know what they
you remember? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, Lindsay.
Yay, Lindsay love. We love Lindsay.
Yes, we do.
My wife and Lindsay talk on the phone all the time, and they're both so happy. They sound like chatters.
Oh, you do?
It's really great. So
he comes in the room. He's like, "What's going on?" It's like,
yeah.
we're talking.
So he who speaks in a tongue edifies himself. I would like that every one of you speak in tongues, but I would rather that you prophesy.
That's amazing. Because prophecy has the fortification part of it, right?
Yeah, you speak somebody forward. Arthur Fiedler, he led the Boston Pops. I have a cousin that was in the Boston Symphony for decades. One of the best musicians in the world, the best trombone player in the world. But Arthur Fiedler led the Boston Pops, and he ran into a young child once who he heard play piano. Just Mozart-like. Mozart sat at the piano and just tore it
prodigy,
at 3 years old. But he met a 5-year-old piano player, and Arthur Fiedler crouched down put a finger under the child's chin and said, I want you to know that you have a destiny with this keyboard.
Wow.
The whole world can be blessed by the music you put out with this thing. That's a prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. They did. That person's in their 40s or 50s or something now.
Oh, so we don't know who it is. I thought you were going to say like it was Liberace.
No, it was an article I read on the way, and
cool.
It says, no, this person is the blah-da-da-da, and they play all over the world, and entire the London Symphony backs them up, and so does it, whatever. But prophecy, the reason is, look at this in 1 Corinthians 14:5.
Well, anytime we release a word, Drake, it is like a prophecy, and sometimes when, that's why it's so important to be careful what we say.
Oh, yes.
Don't
say mean things.
Yeah, we can't, because if you're releasing that, and if somebody speaks a word against you, you have to cast it down right away.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you have to cast it down right away.
Yeah, that one goes off me like water on a duck.
Yeah, you have to do that. Anyway, go ahead. I interrupted again.
And we do this tongues and this prophecy, so that the church may be edified. That is why we speak encouraging prophetic words. The church is edified. What is an edifice? An edifice is a large building that a lot of people can use, work in, reside in, worship in. It's an edifice. It's something that is built up, and we are to build each other up. To educate someone is to get their mind ready for the future, for life.
Build your mind. We shall build your mind.
So, this is so that the church is edified. And we do this for 4 reasons.
Ooh, here we go.
Verse 6. Now, if I come to you and speak in tongues, what good will I be to you unless I bring you some revelation? Something that you say that makes them go, wow, yeah. Or knowledge. Like, oh man. Wow, that is good to know. When you get done speaking, people need to react this way. When you get done speaking and everybody says, hey, can you just shush? There was a person speaking in front of me on a plane, 15 years ago. And Serena wasn't with me. And they just, they talked for 2 hours. If they were exhaling, they were talking. And I would fall asleep and they'd wake me up again. And I just leaned forward and I said, dear, can you breathe through your nose for a while?
Ooh.
They got it. And just, when you get done talking and everybody says, that's enough. It's not a good thing. But the 4 purposes are revelation, knowledge, prophecy, something that clarifies their future, or instruction. That's all I wanted growing up, was to be instructed. I got so tired of being told, well, just do it. Well, just figure it out. Just figure it out. You're the teacher. You're supposed to teach us, and we'll just figure it out. Give me the steps of how to get there. I mean, one pastor I know in the Bay Area, Santa Cruz, he called it, now, to avoid the YBH factor, YBH. Okay, great. I see this passage. It's so glorious and wonderful. Yes, I agree with this. I don't know how to do that. He called it the yes, but how. YBH. Yes, but how? I will tell you how. That is instruction. We are to be instructing each other. No,
it's interesting that there is a difference. There's a differentiation between knowledge and instruction.
Mm-hmm. Knowledge is what you know.
Well, knowledge is what the instructor knows, but in order for the student to receive it, there has to be a transfer of knowledge.
Yeah.
There's a transfer in the process, so...
Yeah, what if,
The transfer is so critical. And I was just having a conversation with a friend yesterday, and I said, all of those... And this pertains, Drake.
Okay.
all of those personality assessments, you can do, are you this, are you IDJQLMNOP, or are you, or
like me.
Are you a golden retriever or a beaver or a lion or something, all these,
or an otter,
right? So all of these things, it's so that you can understand who you are, who other people are, and how you can communicate information. And the most critical part of communication is that of the part of the receiver.
Yeah, if they don't receive it.
If they don't receive the message, then it's all in vain.
Yeah.
You could be so eloquent, you could be eloquently speaking, but all they hear is wah, 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 wah. like Charlie Brown's teacher. So it's the job of the communicator to make sure that the receiver gets that information. So instruction, there's that transfer, and you have to, and it's not the job of the receiver to make sure it happens. The communicator has to make that, make the adjustments to make sure that happens.
This is a word I have for instructors. Throw your baseball at people that have a mitt on.
Well, yeah,
if you throw a baseball at someone who has a mitt on, it's very scary and threatening. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Throw your baseball at the people that have a mitt on. I was a water boy for basketball teams, and our coach was phenomenal. He was mentored by John Wooden at UCLA. Oh my goodness!
Wow,
this guy was a good basketball coach, and he said if someone doesn't catch your pass, it's the thrower's fault, because a basketball is so easy to catch. But meet eyes with them and then pass it to them. Don't just throw it at somebody that's not looking.
Mm-hmm.
So
of course, I don't know how Steph Curry gets away with all those guys. They just throw a pass and nobody's even looking.
Yeah.
They're not looking at him at all. They've never even looked at him.
They're very keyed in with each other. They just
have this awareness of where the other guy is, and
the thing is, they like each other on that basketball
team. That's
team.
true too. But they've done that kind of stuff all the time.
So Paul says the tongue's great. It's for the purpose of revelation, knowledge, prophecy, or instruction. We're building each other up. He's telling this Corinthian church, I don't want you tearing each other apart anymore. I want you building each other up. Hello, Roma Jean. That's great. Her daughter was in my high school, 1 year younger than me. Good to see you, love. My goodness. Wow. And it's, if we're not doing this, and Paul uses an illustration here that I was getting this ready, and I was laughing this morning.
Oh, were you really?
Laughing about something that I remembered from years ago. Even in the case of lifeless things that make sounds, like flutes and stringed instruments or harps, how will anyone know what tune is being played unless there is a distinction in the notes? Okay, I'm going to step in it here. I don't like this freeland jazz stuff where people, you do a solo and the saxophone comes on and goes and the bass is going and drummers doing shoo-shaf, in a smoky room, and the saxophone's going I'm like, can you play a melody that we can get our toes tapping to? I don't.
You don't feel like it's toe tapping music, not dance music?
Yeah, and
it's because you like 80s music. Come on.
I was at a jazz expo walking through once, and the saxophone was doing his it just, there's no music, there's no note, there's no, oh, I like this melody, oh, I know this song. It just sounded like blibbity blip. And I said, man, I hate this stuff. It's just to myself. I didn't make, come on, don't tear the thing up.
No.
Done a lot
it's
of
a
rehearsal,
preference.
whatever.
You don't have a preference for it. Well, to that same point of the distinction in the notes, you're talking about an overabundance of variety in notes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that modern music, pop music, has a tendency to be mono note?
Yeah, it's not a melody that you can follow. It may have a beat. I said
it's more rhythm based. Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, I kind of muttered to myself, man, I hate this. And this person next to me, I think her name was Charity Moon Unit or something. She was so into it. And she says to me, "Hey, do you know how hard this is to play?" I'm an accomplished musician. And I said, "Do you know how hard it is to listen to?" Not the nicest thing I've ever said. This was 25 years ago.
When you were a little bit fiery.
Yeah. I wasn't mean about it. I said,
it's just not your style.
Paul says, if you can't distinguish the notes, what are you playing for? If the trumpet does not sound a clear call, how will they get ready for battle? If you speak unintelligible words, how's anybody going to know what you're saying? We do this speaking in tongues so the people that don't know can know, and you can still communicate with someone that you can't communicate with. If you make this music, people need... I love it when they go, wow, I like this one. We were visiting a church because we knew the speaker on Sunday. I didn't know half the songs, and it was... okay... And it was a forced mask thing. I couldn't do it. My wife put her mask on. She's a little more compliant than I am. God love her. She was like, I don't even want to sing with this. With this thing over my face.
Well,
it really dampens the spirit.
Lugubrious.
Yeah. So, but the instruments, it's a cacophony. The notes need to be in order, like words. Instruction needs to be clear, or the meaning is what? Now, this stuff is all reminiscent of Pentecost. There couldn't have been a better way for God to get the gospel started. The gospel started with a rocket explosion. On Pentecost Day, there were so many languages in Jerusalem. And they didn't have time to make signs with 11 different languages on them for starters. God just had people speak, and their words were translated and the people were fascinated. How is it I'm hearing this in my own language? Oh my goodness, what an explosion, what a blessing. This continues on to this day. In Corinth, they were an immature church. They didn't always do this properly. It was a good thing, but it always wasn't done properly. And it was one of the gifts that they were not always blessing with. They were using it to compare. Well, I've got this gift and you don't. Paul said, hey, stop it. Stop it. There's a, cruising right along here up to... For this reason, anyone who speaks in a tongue should pray that he may interpret what he says. So what shall I do? I will pray with my spirit, verse 15, but I would also pray with my mind. You can be all spirited, but it needs to make sense. You can feel very awake by this stuff, but it needs to be intelligible. Put your mind into it too. You should worship with the same thing. And it's just another preference of mine. I like things done together. We can all do together. When we're leading worship up front and nobody's singing and they're up there undulating and everything, I want to say, are you aware that you're not leading worship up here? You're up here just doing gyro top, flippity bop. Saying, I've been to these Sanctuary of 500 and maybe 20 are singing along because they don't know how to. That isn't leading worship. And somebody says, oh, just worship God in your own way right now. I was first in one of these services when I was 18, I think. And I look around, everybody's just kind of... I called it gargling olives. I didn't know what to make of this. And I'd been a Christian for 13 years and more already. Do stuff that you can do together. It needs to make sense to everybody. You don't want someone in church going, what is this? I went to a church where the worship team did all brand new songs every week. It's got to be fresh in the spirit. Well, I don't care what song you do. Nobody knows how to sing along. And the worship team's up there just oblivious. Nobody's singing. It was a concert. And, people recently go to these concerts of these artists in their 70s. They go, I sang this song as a child and they're still doing it and I love this. They need to feel that way in worship. Make sure people love the worship. We're going to continue tomorrow. Anything we needed to reiterate in closing, dear?
Yeah. So we just wanted to let you know that we have a Bible program. For those of you who are new, we read the Bible every day, 7streamsmethod.com.
7streamsmethod.com.
Yep. And then to partner with the Take a Break with Drake program, I don't know why it makes me laugh. But to do that, you can go to draketravis.com/partners, and that's how you can partner with us.
I look at that and I go, wow, okay.
Did you know that, Drake?
/ I didn't know. I heard / yesterday. I think.
Have you heard / all this time?
No.
No, okay. draketravis.com / partners.
Yeah.
And that's how you can partner with the Take a Break with Drake. Also, we just love to hear any feedback. Send us a message or whatever. We love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, you can encourage us too.
That's right. With instruction.
It puts more strength in our hearts. So anyhow.
And then one last thing is please go to YouTube. Go to Take a Break. Just in the search bar, put in Take a Break with Drake. And then go and subscribe to his channel.
Yeah, because that way YouTube goes, whoa, this is a serious ordeal here.
We just love to see that, because if for some reason something goes haywire on Facebook, just jump on over to YouTube or Periscope, because we're on all those platforms.
Fantastic. We will continue with 1 Corinthians 14 tomorrow.
Hooray.
The Lord is with you. The Lord blesses you. The Lord loves you in a holy and endearing and eternal way. Go in peace.